Glenn Beck saying I'm a piece of garbage and using the ignorance of his audience, trying to imply that I'm trying to cover up Agenda 21. It's very bizarre. And then he talks about how he's been talking about it for 2 years. You know, my criticism of Glenn Beck, I'm going to cover this briefly later. I'm going to do a whole piece on this. I'm going to do it properly, where we really lay out what Glenn Beck's done. And, you know, 4 years ago, he'd say Ron Paul supporters are dangerous. The Army may need to be used against them. Just out of the blue, when Ron Paul had a chance to win primaries. And so I got mad at Glenn Beck. When Fox News said we want to have you here to the studio while you're here on The View on ABC and CNN, please come over. In fact, they called me and said, well, can we fly to New York? And I said, well, I'm already flying there to go on The View. It's last year. I get there, and they call me and go, we're going to come meet you across the street. And the Fox News people come over and go, Glenn Beck's going to throw a fit if you're allowed in the building. So we all hate him, basically. Everybody hates him, but he says you're not allowed over here. He's going to flip out. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. And I mean, Glenn Beck is like a body snatcher. First, he attacked us. When he couldn't beat us, he tried to become us. And now he wants to try to say, I'm pro-New World Order. So we're going to be exposing that coming up today. I'm going to go ahead and expose Glenn Beck. I'm going to put a big piece out on him. Just because, Glenn Beck is very successful. Glenn Beck obviously has done a lot of good. But he's also done a lot of bad, personally to me, over the years, and taken things out of context, really tried to demonize yours truly. But that isn't why I started having issue with him. There's no doubt that when I was critical of Glenn Beck starting 4 years ago, it had an effect and pushed him more towards covering liberty issues. So I'm going to speak briefly about that. In fact, I already am. And then explain what this clip means. This is from his radio show that it's also a TV show. When you watch Beck, he really is a master of manipulation. I think that's where he gets under my skin, is that I'm just straightforward. And when I see someone, and I know how media works, leaving everything real nebulous in like a 12-minute attack piece on InfoWars and yours truly, that I see that the implication in this is I'm trying to get Agenda 21 through. Here's a clip, a short clip.
If you know Agenda 21, you know, Alex Jones, you piece of garbage. I don't know what your deal is. I really don't know, and I don't care. But if you actually cared about the things you were talking about, you would actually use your brain and start to find different ways than just going to your kook friends in your basement. What you would do is you would actually say with some credibility, this is true. And these are the ways that we can connect with people who may not be kooky friends in the basement.
It's exactly what someone who is involved in the 9/11 conspiracy would say.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
That's why he's the master of disinformation ops.
That's right.
That's why.
That's right.
He didn't go to the DeVry University for nothing.
If you would like further,
that's enough. By the way, I haven't read his book. When I heard it was coming out, I said, "Hey, we ought to read it. If it's good, we ought to carry it in the bookstore." I mean, you know, I'll just get into Glenn Beck now. They came to me and they said, "Look at this. We say it's $5.95 a month. He says that. We say the truth is, here. He says that. Look," and they were showing me like dozens of things that were copied exactly from Infowars.com, and just dozens of examples. And I said, listen, that's a good thing. Let's not do an article about Glenn Beck. He's not attacking Ron Paul, saying the Army needs to be called out on his supporters like he said 4 years ago. By the way, I'm going to put a video together with all this since Beck's fired at us. You know, he fired first blood. Okay, we're going to open up on you. You want it, you got it. And, there aren't FEMA camps. When we sent him a package of info, and I know it got to him, with the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, the Model States Health Emergency Powers Act, the congressional hearings, and he came out and said that wasn't true, and all the behind-the-scenes stuff. And when Glenn Beck got better at covering the New World Order, I just left him alone, even though he was still doing stuff behind the scenes. And then to do his latest thing, where he put out a hoax video about Agenda 21, our guys posted it for 30 minutes this weekend. I had it pulled down, one of the weekend guys. I had it pulled down. I'll tell you about it. But Glenn Beck, I literally see something that Glenn Beck's done maybe once a month. I mean, I don't have time to sit there and follow what other people do. But to find out he has that much animosity against me, and now he moved to Dallas, Texas. I had realtors tell me about it when he was down in Austin looking at houses, or had his people looking at them. And I was like, don't tell me he's moving to Austin. And then he moved to Dallas because he implies that I'm helping Agenda 21 because of this. And I tell you, Aaron Dykes last week went around and warned people, and he does this all the time. He goes, hey, this is an ad, and I can have a document cam shot, people watching on prisonplanet.tv. This is a ad that is running about a Glenn Beck book, but it looks like an official UN Agenda 21 eugenics ad saying there's too many people, stuff like that. And he said it's obviously some type of stunt. Aaron said it's a trap. And I'm like, obviously, he's going to say when people attack him for it that it was bull. So we went around and warned everybody but one person. Saturday morning it goes up. We have the timestamp, 34 minutes. People notice that it's up. It gets pulled down. And did Glenn Beck on his radio show to millions of people go up there and say, oh, by the way, another document cam shot I want to show viewers. Here it is from the 8th, November 8th, all over the web being covered. His commercials being picked up. Turns out Beck wouldn't tell people what they were. He created a controversy over 2 weeks, and we found the articles where they made jokes about it. Okay? And they ran them like they were Dish Network ads. And then here's his website, The Blaze. Glenn Beck finally reveals the reason for those Agenda 21 ads on Blaze TV. This is the type of deception. So he finally reveals. He makes it a controversy. We get hundreds of emails saying, why won't you cover this? One of our people takes the bait, puts it up. We pull it in 30-something minutes. Here it is, 404 error, not found. Down, they were watching the site so closely that they grabbed it and somebody took the bait. I didn't take the bait. You know, the news says expose the Truth Behind Agenda 21 ads airing on the Blaze. Oh, he exposes it himself. That's on his site. Look at this. Out of the Globe Dispatch. Glenn Beck dupes Alex Jones. Yeah, I guess in a way the buck stops with me. I guess you did dupe me. I mean, you didn't dupe me, but dupe somebody up here. So there you go. So he can then go, because it's all a big joke that they duped, you know, their viewers, everybody, thinking it was real Agenda 21 ads. One of my people bites on it so he can call me a piece of garbage that tries to discredit him fighting Agenda 21 when he knows full well we had it pulled. It was up less than 40 minutes. I mean, this is what, and I mean, the way that mind works, so convoluted. I mean, I can see what he's doing, but my brain just doesn't work that way. I'm going to be honest about Glenn Beck. He just rubs me the wrong way. He comes off as kind of post-male. And he's what a lot of mainline conservatives like, little nasty jokes, a lot of sexual stuff, you know, jokes about Alex Jones and Charlie Sheen in the shower together, you know, made up stuff like that. And it's all part of this effeminance of him that is attractive to the estrogen-loaded, modern, conservative mainline males. And it's just all a creepy, nerdy, post-male thing, and I'll finish up with my statements on this on the other side. That's all I'm going to say about the Glenn Beck thing, because I'm going to produce a video. I haven't done one in over a year, more than a year on Glenn Beck, because I've said, well, he started covering the New World Order, started covering George Soros more in the last few years, started covering Agenda 21, the globalist. I remember, and we're going to get the clips in this special presentation I'm going to do, him saying Ron Paul's people are dangerous and the Army needs to be prepared to deal with them for no reason. Saying they call it a money bomb. It sounds dangerous. Again, playing on his audience's ignorance. And saying aspartame's good for you, wearing weird skull and bones, Masonic outfits at events. He's saying, I'm going to expose the FEMA camps with that fake. He loves conning people, you know, laughing for a month, building up the audience, getting the patriot audience whose money he wants, whose time he wants, but who he hates. And I mean, just the, you know, the pigginess of it, the post-male, weird, effeminate, Nelly, you know, male tardism. I mean, you look at him and his co-host, I mean, this is a group you wouldn't want to hang out with. And I mean, I'm sorry, I haven't talked about him in a long time, despite all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. When his gold company did some stuff that's pretty darn amazing, and I know about gold, I didn't pile in on that. I left him alone, and he did a lot of other stuff behind the scenes. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I just take it and take it and take it. You know, I get New York Daily News, Rolling Stone, Nightline, all these places comparing me to Glenn Beck. And even some of them over the years saying I'm a Glenn Beck wannabe. So I'm not territorial about information. But I covered Agenda 21 in 1997 and made a film, America Destroyed by Design, that 14 years later, or longer, 15 years later, gives 1,000 times, literally, more information than he does when he talks about Agenda 21 in his documentaries. I mean, you can see a young, svelte, 180-pound Alex Jones out there with a camera making a documentary, America Destroyed by Design, 1997. And then again, Endgame 7 years ago. And it's weird to sit there and have somebody go, Alex Jones, you're a piece of garbage. You know, you need to get real information out and conflate it that I was basically running down him and saying he was for Agenda 21. Now, I get why one of our people that wrote a blurb off the YouTube blurb ran Beck down. Because I don't go around to my few writers and say, you will write this, you will write that, until it becomes an issue. Now I'm going to say, we've been nice and linked to some of his articles and tried to be friendly. No more. Posada non grata. No Glenn Beck unless I'm talking about Glenn Beck here at the InfoWars operation. No more positive, no more negative, no more nothing. Okay, I'm going to put out one report on him, and I'm done. But the issue is, the reason I have to cover this is because it is a story of deception. It is a story of manipulation and cynical, laughing hyenas that are preying on their audience. And I, for one, have had enough of it. I don't like predators. I don't like manipulators. I don't like people that think they're smarter than everybody. I don't like bullies. And Glenn Beck is an effeminate, post-male bully. And he's not going to bully me. And I'm not trying to be mean about that. It's just that, you know, he is a shell. But with Glenn Beck, this is it. 4 or 5, I mean, I remember first hearing him 10 years ago because I was on the same station he was on here. What was it, 1260 before it went sports? Was my local affiliate in Austin. And I remember my local show on there, and I remember hearing Glenn Beck when he first went on WOAI, and it was kind of like Rush Limbaugh, but then he would do kooky conspiracy stuff, like things that were bubble gum, things that were cotton candy, things that weren't real, that weren't dangerous. It was like rumors and superstition and kind of crystal ball type stuff. You know, fold the dollar bill and it does that. And I'm like, man, this guy's a fruit box. You know, this guy's fruity. So I didn't tune into it because I didn't like it. And the talking real slow and drawing you out to get any information, kind of the, you know, the it's like a chip bag where it's 90% air and a little bit of chips down at the bottom. I'm just not into that. And so I didn't ever really follow him. And I'm like, so what? Let him do that. You know what? That's just what they do. But then he began to cover all this, but make it a Democratic Party conspiracy only, and attack yours truly on his radio show. And I'm like, well, that's not cool. Now you want to become Alex Jones, but only partially, while running me down. And I know Beck's mad that Rolling Stone and many other publications went and reverse engineered almost everything he talks about and found out word for word it was researched, discovered by my researchers, my guest, myself, and put forward. So here it is in a nutshell. It's very simple. Because of the good Lord above, your support, and friends out there in the media across the political spectrum who actually care about having a future. Because of all of us that really want liberty and freedom and are upset about being slaves. See, that's what motivates us 100%. That may motivate Beck partially, but he's an egomaniac. He's domineering. No one liked him at Fox. With him, it's all about he's going to be numero uno. You know, he came from the old radio market model of fighting with the other host on the other station. I'm not doing that. I would love it if Glenn Beck reached 1 billion people a day instead of a couple million, and was the biggest thing since sliced bread if he was a real patriot. I mean, I love other people's success. And I know behind the scenes, Pressure was put on people through Clear Channel and Premiere by against myself, by you-know-who, to not even have me on other shows. Just constantly shut Alex Jones down, keep him down, don't let him be heard. And, when somebody is rooting against you, and when somebody's taking your research and your terms and your and your promotions and almost everything you do and mixing it around with Oprah Winfrey in a box and shaking it up and then trying to knock you out, man, that is really creepy. And that's what imposters do. That's what imposters basically engage in. Glenn Beck couldn't destroy the Liberty Movement and say the Army should be called out against it. It really hurt him when he was at CNN. So then he became the Patriot leader and had the big events and tried to become the messianic religious leader as well, and talk about seeking after power. He even moved to Texas, where I live, and he wants me out of the way. I mean, that's what this comes down to. Glenn Beck knows he can look at the numbers and see that we are exponentially growing from a true organic place without ever joining with the New World Order to get power. See, he joined with the establishment to then get his presence and then realize which way the wind was blowing, that there was a bigger market to sell books to the Patriots, because that's a bigger market than, mainline conservative or liberal, and went off to do his own thing, taking a lot of what we've built and pioneered to a bigger scale. Great. Great if you didn't have it out for me, because the imposter who couldn't defeat the Liberty Movement joined it to try to take it over and co-opt it, but still Alex Jones is right there. Still people are all over his websites when he criticizes us. I sit there and go, hey, the elite, the elite like to kill and rape kids. Did you hear about the babies with the gold foil? Dozens of them they were trying to ship into the West for rich people to eat. That's the kind of stuff they do. No, I'm serious. The elite really eat babies wrapped in gold foil. Did you see the article? Well, they took a clip out of context where I was saying the Bilderberg group was in there eating babies when I'd said that was a joke in that part. And I don't want a bunch of infighting with people that are in the Liberty Movement. And I inherently wish that Glenn Beck wasn't the fake, manipulative little bastard, excuse my French, that he is. I mean, I wish to God that wasn't the case. I want to believe in him. And Glenn Beck, you're a piece of garbage. You really are a little piggy-eyed manipulator, and you can see them in a post-mail frenzy of enjoyment that they're smart and they know how to manipulate people. And the fact that he would sit there and less than 40 minutes, I got the timestamp here, it's like 34 minutes, 35 minutes, somebody post a video where he's running ads, which they now admit were meant to create a controversy, asking, what are these pro-UN population reduction eugenics ads? They call them that. What is this? And then we get hundreds of emails and calls, and we're like, oh, this is obviously something he did as a stunt. It's a hoax. We don't tell one person about it. And it goes up, and they're ready to go play the part of the victims and say this. Let's play this clip one more time. Here is Glenn Beck, just after talking about his book on Gen 21, segueing like I'm a piece of garbage that's hurting things by not going with the truth. Here it is.
If you know Agenda 21, Alex Jones, you piece of garbage. I don't know what your deal is. I really don't know, and I don't care. But if you actually cared about the things you were talking about, you would actually use your brain and start to find different ways than just going to your kook friends in your basement. What you would do is you would actually say with some credibility, this is true. And these are the ways that we can connect with people who may not be kooky friends in the basement.
All right, let's stop there.
With someone who is involved in it.
Then they go on to basically talk about disinformation. Folks, Glenn Beck put out TV ads that look completely real, like they were produced by the UN, that is word for word what I've told you, a global government to forcibly reduce population. That's how they describe it on his website. They talk about it as eugenics. And they say the TV ads exposing Agenda 21 and eugenics. Eugenics. Did you ever hear about eugenics before you listened to my show? And again, I don't care. The most sincere form of flattery is imitation. I want to defeat the globalist. I don't territorialize this information. I get happy when I hear other talk show hosts talking about this. But to sit there and put out deceptive ads, let it become a controversy, and wait, I mean watching, obviously with Google updates is clearly how they knew. The minute it goes up, they're already on it. And so they can come in and freak out after the weekend, and I'm told it's still ongoing, about how I'm trying to hurt them because they're fighting Agenda 21. This is exactly what Glenn Beck did 4 years ago, saying, and by the way, I'm going to get all the clips back, and I'm going to show all the bills and all the confirmations of FEMA camps, and I'm going to show you saying there aren't any and that we're kooks. I'm going to show all the things you've done and how you've changed. And see, I was hoping he'd change for the better and saying, hey, let's be nice. You've heard me. Let's be nice to Glenn Beck, which, by the way, you moron, is good for you. You are just a little bit bigger than us when you count your radio stations, that you have a lot more affiliates. That's why on the web now, for the tens of millions you spend on advertising, you have pushed past Infowars.com. I don't sit here and get upset by that. That's great, because I agree with most of what's on your site. The problem is that you will then turn back and stab us in the back later because you can't help your nature. Listen, I come from a family of just hardworking Protestant Christians that helped found this country on the Mayflower and then helped found Texas, and families that have stayed together and worked hard and have been pillars of their community. And I know about your history, and I'm sad for you. I understand you've had some really painful, bad stuff in your life. And I think there may be some good in you. But the weird, piggy, Nelly, manipulative garbage isn't going to work. So if you want to fight, you're going to get one. Okay? Because the fact that you'd put out hoax videos going around for 5 days before somebody picked them up, we slap it down. I showed people the document cam. It's been a dead link since 30-something minutes after it went up, and they run around saying, we've got him. He said something bad about us. We're not for Agenda 21. Those are hoax commercials. And, the person that wrote the little blurb on it was just talking about their view that he's a disinformation specialist there to demonize patriots, there to go after people. And all I can say is I had hoped for the best from Glenn Beck. And I had hoped that he really had turned over a new leaf. I did challenging videos a few years ago, like 3 years ago, saying, Glenn Beck, be on the right side of history. And I was told by 2 separate Fox News personalities that Glenn Beck was just beside himself with anger over a really friendly video saying, hey, you said Ron Paul people were dangerous. You have the Army used on them. You said there wasn't FEMA camps. Here's the proof. Man, be on the right side of history. And I started seeing him get on the right side of history, and now he does stuff like this with a sneaky deception so he can play the part of the victim and imply that I'm supporting Agenda 21 going after him. I'm talking about Glenn Beck. I do intend to put together a video just showing his flip-flopping, his deceptions, and the fact that, look, if you first say there's not a New World Order, and then you decide, oh, people aren't buying that, I'll become the leader of the movement against the New World Order so we can control that opposition. And then, oh, my gosh, but Alex Jones, he's the guy talking about eugenics. Because, again, whenever Beck talks about it, it's about how communists want to do it or how the liberals want to do it. This is the whole agenda. This is Bill and Melinda Gates. This is Ted Turner. This is all of them. And Beck will not touch those people. And you're not going to beat them if you don't go all the way. So I get it. I make him passé because I actually go all the way. And we make mistakes. We're not perfect. And, we did make a mistake buying into his hoax, but we're not making a mistake that he's a disinformation agent. He's certainly been one in the past. I'm done talking about it. We'll put a video together in the next few days. You want it, Beck? You got it. We're gonna absolutely strafe you up one side and down the other politically. Get ready.
I was a former Glenn Beck viewer and listener. Until I stumbled across one of your YouTube channels and found out that I'm not being told about GMOs. I'm not being told about the police state, the false flags and black ops, the mafia that is the pharmacy industry. Just Agenda 21.
But here's the good news. We're forcing him to cover it now. That's why he implied that I'm trying to cover it up, because he has to tell more and more of the truth if we're here. I mean, we're all that stands in his way of a monopoly he sees as a business. And again, if you just joined us, I shouldn't have spent 30 minutes first hour going after Glenn Beck. He just called me a piece of garbage and all this stuff, and really went after me yesterday and implied I was trying to lie about him when I'm not. And it's just despicable. And look, I don't want to sit here and bash Glenn Beck. We got bigger fish to fry. Overall, he does better and better work. And we're keeping him honest. Look, you wouldn't hear any of these mainline talk show hosts talk about a new world order just 5 years ago. Now they all have to talk about it. Why is that? Not just because of Alex Jones or Ron Paul, but because of you. Okay? I mean, look, and now the world government we talked about is being announced. So we were right, they were wrong, and so, of course, they're going to attack us. I mean, look, Glenn Beck said he was going blind from macular degeneration. Paul Watson and I wrote an article thinking maybe we could get him to realize that aspartame is known to cause that in major scientific studies. We wrote an article linking to the studies. We sent it to him. We sent it to Matt Drudge, who cared. Put it up, I'm sure, thinking, hey, here, I'll try to help Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck went on the show and made fun of us, made fun of InfoWars and made fun of it. So, I mean, it's just a creepiness. It's a creepiness factor. That, okay, go blind then, man. Knock yourself out, because I've seen him a few times I've tuned in with a Diet Coke up there. He's very proud of that. All I know is I'm going to warn that most of the sugar gum now has it and it's hurting our kids. I'm going to talk about it, and I wish he'd come out and warn people so we can help little kids that are getting hurt by this. And so I don't want to digress off into that. But, yes, 4 years ago, Glenn Beck would say that Ron Paul supporters are dangerous, and that's why they're getting the army ready to put them on the streets. I've played the clip before, and I'll put a video together. He would say there's no new world order. Now he says he's the king of it, and he's the guy exposing Agenda 21 and implies I'm trying to stop him or something. I mean, and then I'm in a basement. So I don't know what to say to any of this, and I didn't mean to get off into it, but the lady was just listing different facets, different reasons, different examples, different everything. That feed into all of this and why it upset her when she first heard Glenn Beck, but then realized he wasn't telling her all the other issues that are going on. Like, Beck will now talk about eugenics. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that I've forced eugenics, along with my listeners, out to be a major issue now. But at the same time, then he never tells you the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the depopulation and the full story. He tells you the Democratic Party wants to do this. No, this is a global government takeover. Announced. Real fast, finish up, Cupcake.
Well, yeah, and he is always talking about how to love your brother and how we need to help each other. And as your son, I heard your son yesterday, and it gave me goosebumps. And it makes me think, this is what it's all for. And Matthew 7, judge not that you be not judged.